Welcome back to my channel. It's Sunju. I was not planning on filming a video initially, but then I started a book and I have some thoughts about this book. Let me show you. I'm reading Hopeless by Elsie Silver. It is the last book in the Chestnut Springs series, and I've heard a lot about it. Like, a lot of people were really excited when it came out because apparently people have been wanting Beau's story, and even in the dedication at the front of the book, the author puts, "For every single reader, and there are lots of you, who has messaged, emailed, or commented begging for Beau's book, this one's for you." So I was just gonna like read it and then include it in my wrap up. As I started reading it, I was like, there's a lot of things about this book that I wanna say and like talk about, and I figured that I would just do like an impromptu reading vlog. I've never done one of these before, so you'll have to bear with me. I don't even know if I'm doing this right. I don't know how I'd like to film vlogs yet. I do see a lot of people do the daily vlogs, or not the daily vlogs, the reading vlogs, and I do enjoy watching them, so I just thought I'd give it a try. I hope you guys enjoy and come along with me and while I read this book, I guess, and then I will share my thoughts as I go along. So I got partway, like literally one page into the book, and I don't know. Also, by the way, this is gonna be like a spoiler heavy vlog because I want to be able to like openly talk about what I'm reading and what like my genuine reactions to it. So if you don't want to know what goes on in this book, or you haven't read this book yet, then don't watch this video because the whole thing is just going to be a spoiler. I'm not going to take the time to like go through and mark out when I'm going to give spoilers. So the first quote that got me is when he's like out at the train station, or not at the train station, he's like watching this train go, and he says, and I quote, "I am a train." And I don't know. I get it. I get it what he's trying to say. Like, he's like a train chugging on tracks, like point A, point B, whatever, stuck in the motion of everything. But I just think it's funny to say you're a train. I feel like it's like that joke where they're like, oh, women don't want a man, they want to insert thing here, and it's like, women don't want a man, they want a train. That's the energy it's giving. So that was a little weird. And then also, like, continuing right on to the next page, it talks about him being a part of Canada's Special Elite Ops Force, and you know how he was like saving a prisoner in war, and he was like missing in action, and he refers to regular people as civilians. And like, this just might be a personal ick because I am a veteran, but I just don't love when people refer to people as civilians. I understand being in a military setting and using the word civilian, but like, we didn't really say that. We might refer to like our normal plain clothes as civvies, because that's what we would wear when we were like in training and you got special privileges and you could wear your civilian clothes again. We'd call them civvies, but we wouldn't like really talk about non-military members as like civilians. So I don't know, it just kind of like rubbed me weird. Anybody else who's served knows there's like a certain type of person that you can encounter in the military, and they have like a certain personality, and they talk about being in the military and like people not in the military a certain way, and it just really made me feel icky about him. And that's not to downplay like what he's been through in the book, like that part I understand, but just some of the things he says are really cringy. That's all. Okay, also on page 7, sorry, this is gonna be a crazy vlog because there's gonna be so many times I feel like that I'm gonna stop and say something, but he's talking about when he's like meets her for the first time well, not for the first time, but like she's working at the bar as an adult now, and he says she's worked at the rail spur for years now. I just can't remember how many. Can't decide if enough years have passed for me to notice the way her tank top lifts today, showing a peek of her flat stomach. And then he goes on to talk about her, you know, chest and whether or not he should like notice that and if it's appropriate. And that's, I don't know. Elsie Silver, I know, loves an age gap, and like sometimes age gaps are fine, but this one's, in her other books it wasn't creepy. Like in this book it's a little creepy. She's 22 and he's 35, and he literally even says, which means I was a teenager when she was born, which is like so weird. Like, why are you thinking of that? And I know that this is like their love story, and it's like not endearing me to them at all. I don't know. I'm gonna like keep riding it out, but I've seen a lot of people say that this one's their favorite, and I just don't. This is my least favorite. My least favorite so far was Powerless, which was Jasper and Sloane, and then my favorite one was Reckless, which is Theo and Winter. And I don't know. Maybe it's an unpopular opinion. I've seen a lot of people really like Jasper's story as well. Maybe that's just like not my thing. It's not my, I don't know, trope or my type of like romance man, but this one's really, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. So I read a part where he's like going to the bar now all the time because he's like drinking because he has PTSD, and him and Gary, I think, and then it's Bailey, and she's the one who's like a town outcast because her family was like, you know, into crimes and stuff, and she runs this bar now. Bo is in there all the time, and they just had this moment where he was like making a ruckus in the bar, and he's like drinking a lot, and she like pulls him out back and they have this conversation, and it's just very cliche, right? Like she's the loner, like town outcast. She calls herself like the pariah of the town, but Bo's always been so nice and so kind to her, and he's never treated her like anybody else. He's like the town golden boy, right? Because he's in Eton, and she's just like, you know, never acted like he's a hero because he went to war, and she's never acted like he's special because he's in Eton, and she's never treated him, you know, the way other women do. She's not falling over herself. She's just like shooting it straight, I guess. She calms him down like he's about to go off in the bar, and then she pulls him aside and like slaps some sense into him. And it's kind of like that trope where like the male lead is so violent and aggressive, but the only person who can get through to him is the one female lead, and she's like puts her hands on his face like, look at me, calm down. Like that's kind of the energy I was getting. Maybe I'm being a little dramatic. Maybe I'm also already hating on the book because I didn't love the way it opened. I feel like I can already see where this is going, and it feels very predictable, and I don't know. I really don't enjoy this book right now. I'm hoping it gets better, but I guess I'm just not really sure, so we'll see. Okay, so I'm about 83 pages in. I am on chapter 8 now, and they've already gotten engaged. I guess it's like a fake engagement thing. She like swims in the river at night, and she saw Bo out there, and he stopped her, and they had a conversation where she was like, life will be so much easier for me if I had your last name. And he was like, okay, well then I'll do it. So he proposes that they get engaged, and they have this fake engagement so that her reputation in the town will get better, and she can have like more job offers and be treated nicer and be able to save up money to leave town. and then he'll be able to just like help her, I guess, and also feel something and get his family off his back about like what he's been doing lately and how he's been spending his time and stuff. And they decide to go ahead and like go through with it, and now I haven't gotten this far yet, but I guess I'm supposing the next step would be them talking to their friends and family about it and telling them that they're engaged, but nobody knows that it's going to be fake. So I guess I'm intrigued to see how this will play out. I mean, we already know the end, right? Like, it's going to be a fake dating thing, and then they're going to actually fall in love with each other and be together. I still don't know how I feel about him being 35. I don't necessarily think that age gaps are inherently problematic. I can tell you that if I had a friend who was 35 and they were like, yeah, my new girlfriend or boyfriend is 22, I would definitely be like, major side eye, like major what the heck are you doing? I do think that the age gap is a little concerning because they're at such different points in their life. Like, she at 22 only just can legally drink. She can't even like rent a car on her own, I'm pretty sure. You have to be like 25 to rent a car, at least with like really good rates or to be covered by your insurance or something. And he's 35. So I just think the age gap is a little much at the stage of life that they're in now. If he was in his 40s and she was in her 30s, that'd be different. Or if she was like in her late 20s and he was in his late 30s, I think that'd be different. But as it stands, I don't love it. And she also keeps writing that like 4 times in the last couple chapters, it's been brought up by either Beau or Bailey that he's so much older than her. Like, they talk about it a lot where they're like, oh, he's just so much older. He's so much more mature. He's so much more experienced. Or he'll say like, I don't want to be a creep. I don't want to be a predator. I don't want to just be another creeper old dude. And they always make references to how old he is and how young and naive she is. And I understand there's like a market of people who like that, but it's just not my favorite kind of trope. Even when people are like closer in age, I just feel like having one person be like so much older and wiser and sexually experienced and the other person being incredibly naive and portrayed as really innocent and needs protecting, the power imbalance is just super weird and the vibes are really off for me. So I don't think that she meant any harm by it. Like, I know I'm like reading way too into this, quite frankly, but I read books because I enjoy reading and I really see them as like an escape, and I love to get immersed in the books and I love to read these stories and fall in love with the characters. And while I feel sympathetic towards both of the characters, I just really am having a hard time like losing myself in the story and getting behind them, because he seems to want to take like this mentorship role over her, but simultaneously like talks very explicitly about like her body and what he wants to do to it. And she's just like this horny 22-year-old girl who thinks that he's super hot and is a virgin and is like dying to be experienced, and he provides that opportunity for her. So I don't know. It's very weird. It's very sexually explicit already. I know that Elsie Silver's books generally have a lot of spice in them, and I'm not one to shy away from spice. Like, I like spice in my books. I particularly like Elsie Silver's spice, but in this book, you know, with how soon we're into the book and how even in like the first 3-4 pages, he was already talking about her boobs. Again, for some people, they love that whole smut thing where one person's really inexperienced and the other one like teaches them. But for me, that's just not I just don't really like it. So we'll still go. Like, I'm still intrigued by where the story is going, and I want to finish out the series Chestnut Springs, because so far I've loved the series. Like, I do like Chestnut Springs. I already have plans to read her Gold Rush Ranch series, and I also want to read the one that comes after this one, the Rose Hill series, I believe. So I'm excited. I do love Elsie Silver as a writer, but this book in like particular is just not something that I'm in love with right now. I'm like a little under a quarter of the way through, so I definitely could change my mind, but I don't know that I will. Anyway, I'm going to continue reading, and I will catch up with you guys whenever I get to a point where I feel like it's worth mentioning. So okay, so I'm back. I just finished some more of the book. I'm almost halfway through now, and I am going to sit down and have some dinner, but I wanted to update you first. I am on page 160, chapter 16, and I think we're about to have our first spicy scene between the two. I will say I am enjoying like the actual plot, like the character development happening and the plot and like the backstories I do not like the age gap. I'm still struggling a lot. To be honest, I think I would be enjoying this book if it weren't for the age gap. And unfortunately, like I thought I'd be able to get over it, but anytime something like even remotely sexual happens between the two of them, I'm just like reminded that she's 22 and he's 35. Also, Elsie Silver's not letting us forget the fact that she's 22 and he's 35. Like the language is like he's a protector, he's gonna save her, he's kind of giving big brother energy, and then she's like this really innocent, like it's weird because the words used to describe her are like she's innocent, she's small, she's meek, she gets real shy and timid around people, she curls in on herself, she kind of acts like a baby. Like he says that she has like doll-like features and she's always like hiding in his body and like curling her fists in his shirt, and he's even said that she's very innocent at one point. So I don't love this idea that he's like this big bad protector who's gonna mentor her and teach her things, including sexually, and she's like this naive, innocent little bean. And I think that if it wasn't for that aspect, I would be enjoying it. Also, I know I talked about how I like spice in her books, and I do. I think she's really good at writing spice, and it's not like too cringy. I feel like it's like right on that line of like fun and exciting, almost cringy, but not. Like she pulls it back before it gets too far. This book is cringy. Like the spice in this book to me is cringy. And I apologize if this is some of your guys' like favorite book by Elsie Silver and you really like it. That's not me saying that you're like wrong. I think I can understand why this book appeals to people and why they like the dynamic, and I know that some of these tropes in the book are really popular. They're just not for me, and I wanted to give my honest opinion about it, especially because I really love Elsie Silver. And I know it sounds like I'm harping a lot on the age gap thing, but it's because I am, because I think that it's unnecessary. Honestly, I feel like the story would have worked just as well if she was like 25 or 26 instead of 22. I don't know. It's just weird. I love the book premise, and I like the way that they're delving into Beau's PTSD and how she's really caring, and she like they swim in the river together and she's taking him shoe shopping, and then he's like standing up for her, he's taking care of her truck, he's putting her in a better place, not near her brothers. Their dynamic is really nice, and if Elsie didn't remind us every 2 pages that there's like 12, 13 years age difference between them, it wouldn't be a problem. But I don't know, I think we're about to hit the first spice scene and I'm a little bit nervous. We'll see. I guess keep your fingers crossed for me that it goes well. And I will let you guys know after I've eaten some dinner and read some more. I feel like every couple pages it's written in here that she has some line about reassuring herself or us as the readers that she's an adult, and like she'll do something that's a little bit childish and be like, and I thought I was an adult. Or like here she says, despite all my self-talk about being an adult, I can't bring myself to meet his gaze. And it's like, I don't know why she keeps mentioning that she's an adult. Like I'm reading way too much into it, but I feel like it's because she portrays her so childish and like innocent and naive that she has to keep reminding us that she's actually an adult, not a kid. Because she reads like she's 18 or 19 and not like she's 22. And also I don't like that anytime she does something even remotely childish, she's like, ugh, I'm supposed to be an adult. And it's like, yeah, girl, but you're 22. Like, when I was 22, I was doing dumb stuff too. And even now, I'm 29 and I still do dumb stuff and act like a child. I feel like being 22, you're still pretty young. and just a thought, I guess. Okay guys, so if I look tired and exhausted, it's because I am. Because it's currently like 11 p.m., maybe like 11:15 p.m., and I just finished Hopeless. I did not intend to read the whole book today, but I got to the point where I was like 370 pages in, and I thought like, maybe I should stop and finish in the morning. But then I saw that the book was only like a little over 400 pages, and I was like, well, I've already read 377 today, so what's another 30? And yeah, I finished it. I might give some brief thoughts and then, you know, come back with some more solid thoughts in the morning. I think I just like came at the book too hard. I think it was honestly like the idea of Beau being a veteran. Sometimes it feels really unrealistic to see the way that veterans are portrayed in media. I really wasn't super feeling the way that he was being portrayed in the beginning, but towards the end of the book, I think I felt differently. I'm not sure if the beginning was just her trying to like set the scene on his attitude or what, but it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I think I just was really, I don't know, jaded going into the book. But that still doesn't change how I feel about the age gap. I do feel bad because I realized that this is like an author who worked really hard on this story and loves her characters and her story and has dedicated fans who asked for this book, and she put a lot of time and effort into creating this and publishing it, and that's something that I could never do. So I just want to acknowledge that I don't mean it in a way to be harsh, and I really would love to just be honest about the things that I'm reading, and sometimes that might come off a little bit more critical than I intend for it to, but I don't mean any harm by it. So I do think I enjoyed the story overall. I'm still feeling like I'm landing on like a 3 for this one. By the end of the book, I loved Beau and Bailey individually as people. I also do think that their relationship works. I think their story is really beautiful, and the things that she's done for him and the things that he's done for her are amazing. I feel like my hang up is mainly just on the age gap. Like I said, I don't even think that I would have had a problem with it if it hadn't been mentioned so much. That's actually why I'm giving it a 3. I think if there hadn't been the age gap, I probably would have been higher, maybe like a 3.75. I think it just mainly comes down to taste, but still beautifully written. I love Elsie Silver's writing. I still think that the story was handled really well, and I do think the characters were really nice, and I was rooting for everyone by the end. I think the age gap just really threw me off, and the tropes just really weren't my favorite. So okay, hey guys, it is the next day, and I have thought about the book, a lot, and I think I'm still sitting at a 3. I think I'm gonna give it a 3-star, and I do think that I might have been a little critical in the beginning and went in like a little hardcore, but I still feel like a lot of what I said last night is the same. I think that the language was just not, for me personally, I didn't love it. I mean, even at one point in the story, Bailey was referred to as his jailbait fiance, and I think that's really weird because she's 22 and not 18. I think it just rubbed me the wrong way. I do still think the story was really nice. I do like the development of the two characters. I do like their love story, removing the age piece, but I think that the age gap was unnecessary, and because of that, it is not my favorite book. It's probably my least favorite in the Chestnut Springs series. But I will still continue to read Elsie Silver's writing. I did think that she handled the characters nicely. I just wish that there wasn't such a focus on the difference in age between the two of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is my first time doing a reading vlog. Hopefully you guys enjoyed reading with me. I'm thinking of making this some sort of a series where I read through different books. So let me know if there's any books that you'd like to see me read, or if you would like to see this kind of content again. Thank you again so much for sticking around and hanging out with me. I love talking to you guys and sharing with you guys. And if you liked this video or you like me, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye!